Okay, it's 8:30. I'll call the Commissioners' meeting for June 26th to order. First item is public input. Yes, Damon?
I was wondering if we could get the settlement amount with Janice Sullivan, and also I was wondering if we get the settlement amount in the Moulton case.
I can't talk about the Janice Sullivan. That was done in non-public session.
Oh, you can't talk about it, but can you release the dollar figures? Can I talk to Kelly?
You'll get that today.
Okay, great.
You get the same thing that Melissa got
Okay.
updated. The Moulton case, it was handled by Primex.
Okay.
If you want to get information on that, call them. I don't know the details on it, but they're handling that.
So,
I think it's been done. I haven't seen any figures, but give Primex a call.
okay, so the county didn't have to pay taxpayer money, that was just handled by the insurance, pretty much.
For Moulton,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's be accurate.
What?
Let's be accurate, as far as I know, we haven't had to pay anything.
Well, if I, yeah, right. We haven't got a bill for it. I don't expect to get one.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Brown.
Just to follow up on what Daymond was saying, but even if it goes through the insurance company,
Yeah.
a settlement, your premiums are gonna go up the next year, the year after. The more settlement, the more payouts the insurance company has to pay out, the higher your premiums are gonna be. So, yes, the taxpayers are paying for this.
Yeah, it is not free, the taxpayers are paying for
Okay.
it.
They're paying for it either way, through higher insurance premium or whatever, but it is costing the taxpayers money.
I guess the question to ask is, what has our premiums gone up? And I don't know that answer, but I'll find that out.
Could you maybe get that for
Yeah.
a 5-year period or something like that,
Can do.
brother? Thank you.
Anybody else got any public input?
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Ms. Brown, would you be happy with 5 years?
If you can go back longer, that would be great if you could.
Well, it won't 5 years, this is all time consuming. Won't 5 years give you enough of a trend?
Well, that's what I said, 5 years.
Okay, just making sure we understand each other.
Okay, do you have any reports tonight? Anybody been to any meetings?
Yes, I went, the commissioners got an invitation to go. I went to the nursing home last week. It was about Genesis. She had a presentation about physical therapy, what they have. I think they had 3 kinds of therapy, physical, occupational therapy, and something else. I wrote it down. I don't have my notes with me. But she basically showed a video, so it was very informative.
Commissioner Babson, you got anything?
No, not this week.
Will is not on the schedule, but he was able to get hay in without getting it wet.
About 800 bales,
800 bales, right.
400 each day, roughly.
And he's got hay for sale, so if anybody knows of anybody that wants to buy hay, he doesn't have as many customers right now, like he has other years, but who knows, they may show up. I'm sure you get rid of the hay anyway. Just got the minutes for last week's meeting.
Yeah, I have to read them. Can we wait for that?
Okay.
What did Commissioner Kenney say?
I think she wants to wait until the end of the meeting to
Yeah,
to approve them.
can you wait for that? I just want to go. I think I had the minutes with me. I got them
In the
downstairs.
meeting to do what, David?
To finish reading the minutes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I do with the minutes. I went downstairs to get them. I probably put it.
I'll say I have to leave at 11. I have to go to a funeral at 12 o'clock, so I think we will probably be done by then, way ahead of schedule. So we'll come back to the minutes. You want to make any comments regarding, we've got
We
an RFP here for the old nursing home. And let me read it for the minutes. Carroll County Commissioners seeking proposals, Old Mountain View Nursing Home. Seeking proposals for lease of space at the Old Mountain Nursing Home, 10 County Farm Road, Ossipee, New Hampshire. Entire facility consists of approximately 35,000 square feet, 28,000 square feet of available rental space. 1. Core section consists of approximately 10,000 square feet and will have a new roof. The county shall retain space in the core area for wood pellet boilers, laundry, maintenance, and utilities, leaving approximately 3,000 square feet available. 2. 4 wings consist of approximately 5,000 square feet each. The solarium and office space consists of approximately 5,000 square feet. Lessees shall be responsible for all internal renovations to the released space, utilities, and insurance. Bidders can view the facility by calling Bob Murray at 539-7511 for an appointment. All proposals or letters of interest are due by September 2nd, 2013. If you have any questions, please contact the Carroll County Commissioners at 539-7751. Kathy Garry will give us a list of where this is to be sent. I'll go ahead, Mr.
This
Booth.
is the square footage.
What's that?
Just on the square footage, it was 35 and then 15 in the core, and you said, the way it's worded, it sounds like the county's gonna keep 12 of that, and only be able, there
The
only
20
3,000 square feet in the core section?
8,000 square feet to be leased.
Oh,
No,
I
20,
thought-
I'm sorry, 8,000 square feet. It takes up the laundry, maintenance, utilities, and the boilers.
So that's 8,000?
That's
So there should
8,000.
be 7 left. in
There's
the core.
28,000 square feet to be leased.
Okay, but I'm just saying, the way that's worded, it sounds like there's only 3,000 square feet left to be rented in the core section.
You're right. David,
ahead.
these numbers don't, and I agree with Steve, these numbers don't seem to agree with what we've heard for the past
Right.
5 years. As I recall, the front part of the building, which the Cooperative Extension was going to rent, was 5,000 feet, but the Cooperative Extension only needed 3,000, or it was 3,000 to
Yeah.
start with. The back section was 10,000 feet that they talked about, the kitchen and the day room. And I think that we're confusing the issue by saying the entire facility consists of 35,000 square feet. How about the entire facility, including the wings? Consists
28,000.
of 35,000 square, 28,000 available for rental space, which
Right.
tells me that, I mean, the numbers don't add up.
No. And then it goes into 3,000 down later.
Yes.
Which sounds like it's only 3,000 available square feet to be rented in the, out of the core, when it should actually be, what, 7 or 8?
The county shall retain a space in the core area for the wood pellet, boiler, laundry, maintenance, and utilities, leaving approximately 3,000 square feet available. That doesn't make sense. Those figures don't add up.
Yeah.
No, there should be another 4,000, because didn't Commissioner Sorensen say it was 8,000 square feet for the pellets, the laundry, and what was the other one? Oh, maintenance?
Yeah.
So if you go 8 and it's 15, that would leave 7,000 square feet should be available for rent in the core.
All right, we'll check the figures, but I gave them the measurements on the whole facility on a map that was drawn up, and that's the figures that they used. Now, whether we were wrong in the beginning or not, I don't know, but we'll check the figures,
Right.
and we'll rewrite it so it's a little more,
Because I think there's 15, if what I recall, there's 15,000 square feet in the core. So if you take off 8,000 for the pellet boilers, the laundry, and maintenance, 8 from 15 leaves 7,000. plus the, 4 wings, which are 5,000 apiece.
Right.
So that would be 27,000 available for rent.
Yep,
Just the way it's worded, it's
Okay.
But
really.
going the other way, Steve, at the 7,000 that's left, 15, take away the 8 for the, what we're gonna save for ourselves, only leaves 7,000, and if you take the 3 or 5 that was out of the front, that leaves 2 in the back, and that's not right.
okay.
We'll have to do some work on
I'll
that.
let Mr. Babson check out those figures. Okay?
I'm the worst one with numbers, but we'll probably end
Well,
up
we'll
with
look-
100,000 square feet.
We'll look at it right
Before we
after the
put
meeting.
it- Spend the money to put it in the paper, we might as well get it
Do it right.
correct.
Yep,
Well, we need to have an accurate RFP there, because what if people started to come with estimate and it's not accurate, and we need to start to change things.
Well, we'll work on the figures.
Thank you.
Okay. Howie, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Boy, that's a bright blue shirt.
Hey, but it's what's left in the closet, that's what you get. I'll give you some paperwork.
Where did you go?
Oh, she went to get something.
Have a few things to update you on. The first is that we're full, which is always a good thing, and we have 4 skilled. On the special acknowledgements, always kind of nice to recognize what's going on. We have a lot of very dedicated and spirited staff, including Patty Kane, our Director of Staff Development and Infection Control, and came up with the idea that with the heat and the start of summer to have an ice cream social, spontaneous ice cream social for staff. That went very well last Friday with the help of Becky, and also special thanks to Becky for, not only taking care of the planting, but providing the urns, doing the planting, and providing the plants for the entranceway. As you walk in, you'll see the 6 urns
Have you
that are there.
contacted the
Salmon Falls?
landscaper? Chandler?
Yeah, we have, and that's actually number 5, and
Okay,
Bob had a
okay.
good meeting with them, and they are standing behind their products. So
Okay.
they will be replacing those plants.
I want to go back to the recognition. We recognized the
Erin
LNA
Erin Higgins.
Erin Higgins.
yeah, state month, state
Of the year.
month, yeah, of the year award. I think some of the others, like the one last year, is there any way going back and recognizing some of those people that, we went overboard, not overboard, but deserving so, in recognizing her last week. But I'm wondering if the others feel hurt because they didn't get recognized. And is there something that we can do to list those in the past that were employee of the month, in some way of putting that up on the board to recognize them as a minimum? You know what I'm saying?
No, in fact, going back to the past LNAs of the year, now to everybody's recollection, Erin was the first statewide. But we
Okay,
have,
yeah, okay,
but
yeah.
each year we do have our own LNA of the year, and we can't pay enough attention. The one thing that we need to be sensitive to, and I've tried to do it in actually an article that I've written for the coming newsletter, is that Erin represents the entire staff. And it isn't just LNAs, it isn't just Erin, it's everybody, but Erin is a wonderful and shining example. But we want to be sure that we don't leave the housekeepers, the diet aides, and other people too far aside.
Yeah.
So recognition is a challenge, but I like the idea of going back to have maybe some kind of a plaque that lists the LNAs of the year going back.
Yeah,
While we can still remember it, that's the important part, because it slips away all too quickly.
because we do have a lot of good people.
Wonderful
And
people.
it may have been past experience where we didn't really recognize them appropriately, like we should have. And now that we recognize this new LNA, they may feel a little hurt, so a plaque might be good.
Well, I think it's a good idea, and something that I want to do with your blessing is to take advantage of the monthly breakfast buffets and we're gonna have increasing number of recognitions in building on things that are already in place. It makes the breakfast buffets all the more special.
Yeah.
And it also gives the staff members the opportunity to be recognized by them, to meet and be recognized by commissioners, and that makes it all the more special for them. So increasingly, I think we're gonna use that breakfast buffet as an opportunity for
Yeah.
recognition.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Okay.
Number 3 is a trust fund review, and you'll see a few pages back. I was asked last week to do a request to do a review of the trust funds. And, but the interesting news, now I can't tell you whether it's good or bad news, is the interesting news is there are no trust funds. There are no trust funds. Now,
Excuse me, Howard, there's no Dube account that we've heard about for the last.
there's a Dube account. In fact, that is the only account that there actually is. Now, the reason for the confusion is that over a number of years, the county, through Mountain View, has been the beneficiary of a number of trusts, and it's always been referred to as the trust. And in fact, I've listed the 4 that I could find, or 5 that I could find: the Ralph Herbert, the Eloise Bean, the George Parsons Trust, and the Ralph and Edna Dube Trust. So those were trusts that were set up as part of estates that the county, especially Mountain View, benefited by. Now, of those, there is only one that remains in a separate account, and that is the Ralph and Edna Dube account, which is in a CD held by TD Bank North. And those proceeds have not been expended, and they're in the amount of $249,000 as of May 31st. But the good, now, and the reason why it's important to note the difference the difference between an account and a trust is most often with a trust, you can't spend the money, you can only spend the income. This is an account, so this money is not otherwise restricted other than it be used for Mountain View. But it was an interesting exercise, and I want to give a lot of credit to Kathy Armstrong and Kathy Garry for being help to me in sorting this all out and getting it clear and getting the final numbers. But you'd be amazed at how many people thought there were a number of trusts. Now, while doing this too, I also wanted to note for you that you also hear from time to time about the Mountain View gift card. Within the Mountain View gift card account, there are actually some 25 subsidiary accounts. Oftentimes, people will give money, $300, $400, $500 for a special purpose. So without it being a trust, we have a myriad of all kinds of funds, including we have a fund that I didn't know existed until yesterday, which is a laundry. Ask Paula, what is a laundry fund? Well, how many of you ever had extra quarters and dimes in your pants when you throw it in the washing machine? Well,
Not with this job.
well, I tell you, that over the years has added up to $422.
Really?
So we have $422, and last month we added $5 to it. So there was a $5 bill. The reason it's in a separate
Those
account.
are my pants.
Well, if you can identify that $5 bill, we actually hold the money so that if somebody comes forward and says, I lost money in the laundry, we can return it to them. But of course, none of us remember that.
Remember, Daymond, now Commissioner Babson said they were his pants in the laundry.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Yeah. All we need is a serial number of that $5 bill, and he'll have it back in a hurry.
Go ahead.
But-
Howie, what is your goal what are you asking, to combine all of these?
No,
or
not asking
to,
for anything. We on our own, there are some accounts that don't make sense, that we need just to consolidate, but it doesn't, and I'll be reporting to you on that, but they were set up for a purpose. There's one that has to do with, there's a cigarette account, there's that probably goes back 20 years. And of course, you create something, it stays forever. At some point, just for a proper accounting, we want to clean it up and reduce it to the ones that are
But
actively
in all
used.
cases, they're to benefit the residents of the nursing home.
Exactly, it's all for the residents. And now, in some, there is one that is for a nursing education fund. Money was left for nursing education, so that money is available for nursing education.
And how much is that?
That one, I think, is $6,000, has $6,000 in it.
And what is the name of that one?
It's just called nursing education. Now, if you hear some
But
people.
you don't have it here, and it is not, you didn't write it down here?
No, but there are 25 different accounts. Now, I believe the source of funding for that, and it's not confirmed, was the Eloise Bean account. So the Eloise Bean Trust apparently was left to benefit nursing education. So it's no longer the Bean Trust Fund, it's now the Nursing Education Fund.
So they changed the name from Bean Fund to Nursing Education Fund?
Exactly. It came
It's the
from-
same fund.
It's the same purpose. The money from the Bean Trust Fund was earmarked by the donor for nursing education.
Okay.
Do you have that in writing or
We don't.
recorded? or-
No, because once, all the monies we have are essentially unrestricted. So the donor makes a donor designated request, which we honor, whenever possible.
So how do you remember the Bean, or not you, because you weren't here, but how does anybody remember that the Bean Fund was for nursing education?
Because Paula has a good memory. It's by luck. And what I want to do is to be sure that where there are special restrictions or donor designations, that we get very clear about them, because we shouldn't, we don't want to trust the memory. Because memory
There must be
won't-
some paperwork way back when it was donated.
One would think, but there's none that we have now, whether there's more in the business office or whether, I do have all the original documents on the Ralph and Edna Dube Trust.
Yeah.
So that
was the most recent one.
that's most recent, and that have all the trust instruments, and that one's very clear. The others
The
are,
LL Bean fund
That's
was
to buy clothes and canoes, Dave. the
at
LL
least,
Bean is-
at least 12 years old, because I remember previous commissioners using money out of that LL Bean fund for a blanket or something, curtains in the nursing home, the old nursing home and so forth, I think came out of that fund.
Why do you keep calling it the LL Bean Fund?
Well,
Eloise?
it's the Bean Fund.
The Bean Fund.
Bean
okay.
The Bean Fund, sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Don't we have an employees fund that employees contribute to?
well, we do. Now, that's actually, we hold the money for a group that's actually managed by the union, the Helping Hands Fund. And that's kept as part of this account too. Now, the other thing that we're gonna,
Why do we hold that? Why doesn't the union hold that?
well, because they don't want to, they actually have to get a tax ID number. To open up a bank account these days is no small job. So it would be different, it'd actually be a challenge where it's easier for them to drop the money off at the office, and it just gets deposited into essentially kind of a big miscellaneous or
What I would like to have is who approves of the use of the money? How does that, what's the process there? I know it's to benefit the residents, but there's got to be some mechanism as to who approves of it, how much is approved for, and so on.
well, and that we're tightening up. Not that there's been any problem, but as part of the
I don't think
previous-
there's been any problems either,
Oh.
but I think we just sort of have a clear picture that this is how it's handled.
Well, and that was part of the internal accounting report that I gave you last week. For this fund, we're going to actually create a mini board of directors comprised of 4 people, because we want to be sure that everything is always done by a group. Because I don't want, from my end, I don't want to be the one that goes to Paula and says, writes a check to XYZ, and so that it looks like collusion. I want to be sure that it's always documented and approved. So we actually have that process. We haven't started it yet, but we do have a process that I'll get back to you with the formalized, who's actually on that and what the rules of engagement are.
Okay.
Because we can't be too careful when it comes to cash management.
Right. I don't want to open it up, but Damon, you got your hand up, so go ahead. What is your question?
The Dube Fund, whatever it is, the account, is that, you said that is $234,000?
$249,000 at the end of May.
$249,000. How many lifts would that buy? Would that take care of the lift situation forever, or?
Oh, yes.
Well,
So,
It won't well, that's kind of a borderline, whether it would benefit all residents or not.
Benefit the residents.
It'll benefit the ones that you buy out of it, yes, but not everybody.
but if you put a lift in every room, then you're benefiting every resident, because at some point they might need it. And, you know, if you spent the money and closed out the account, it'd just be one less thing to deal with. And it seems like you have this need for lifts.
Well, that's something for us to,
Well, I'm not
Take a
saying you
look
should,
at it.
I'm just wondering if that's a possibility, it just seems like it would make sense.
as long as it benefits all residents. We've already purchased some. It's a good question for us to think about. Go ahead.
Howie, who is managing this money?
Paula?
The treasurer doesn't manage it?
Not, well, the $249,000 is Kathy Garry. That is separate from us. So that is in a CD with TD Bank North that we are not signers on, that while Mountain View is the beneficiary, we have no involvement with.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
other
Talking
gift
about
card
the gift
money
card,
is kept in-house.
Okay, I just think we ought to clean it up and have some process. If we got a committee of 4 or something, whatever, probably we ought to have that in writing. And if you can go back and research any of these, and Kathy Garry might be one to start with. She may have some paperwork
No,
on
we
those
get,
gifts.
and I'll check some old annual reports too that might show
Yep.
where they are as well.
Okay.
So Howie, I have a question. You write here, you have the Dube Trust Fund, the Bean Trust, and the Fashion Trust. But you said these are not trust funds?
No, the money, the county received money from those trust funds, but the trust funds no longer exist.
The money's been used up.
The money's been used or transferred. In the case of the Doobie, the money is still here in an account, but it is not held in a trust.
It's just in an
So we
account.
have the Dube in account, okay. And which one are closed?
In fact, all the trusts are closed, but there's a residual amount that's been kept separate in a separate account with the Doobie money. All the other monies have been either spent or otherwise have residual values within, near as we can tell, within the gift card, with
Okay.
one particular one, and I think the Ralph Herbert Trust at one point was in the gift card
I've
fund as
never
well.
heard of that one, so I don't,
No one seems to know anything about that, but the name does show up.
Well, somebody must have knowledge. I mean, they're taking care of it.
Well, we'll continue to dig, but some of these things could go back 20 and 30 years.
yes, yep. Okay, let's move on.
Other things, we did receive the proportionate share payment, which is the state funding that is always a bit of an unknown commodity. While some things vary based on our own Medicaid census, the big portion, the 80%, varies with what the state's going to approve. We knew ahead of time that it would look to be favorable for this year, just going back to last month's executive committee meeting of the Association of Counties. But we got the check this week, and it's about $600,000 favorable to budget, which is good.
Okay, go ahead.
Shrubbery replacement is
Well, you know, Taking a quick perusal of the budget, did you by any chance budget any of this money ahead of time?
we budgeted, we essentially looked back 3 years, not knowing what the future was gonna be. We didn't wanna base it on last year, which was a good year, so we took the 3-year average to have something to hang our hat on.
So you did budget some of this money?
Yeah, we budgeted, I think we budgeted about $600,000 and we got $1.2 million.
Normally we don't.
Historically, we don't budget that money. Why did you do it this year?
Well, because we needed to, we know there's gonna be some money, so we have to, as in
Well,
all budgets.
I don't know if we're sure of that. I mean, that could
Well-
be cut out quickly. I mean,
Like,
that's why we never budgeted for it, because it's possible that the state would just say,
Oh, no, and that's,
we
and
eliminated it.
that's of course your.
Then we'd be we'd be in deep trouble if we had to make up 600,000 somewhere.
Well, although the commissioners did approve the budget.
Well, that's true. We overlooked that one.
Well, and that's,
We're partially at fault for that.
yeah, so at our end, we put forward what we think is the most reasonable scenario. A more conservative scenario is the budget nothing, although I haven't heard, while in theory, the state could reduce that to 0. I don't think that's likely, no, but that's just one person's opinion.
Yeah.
Well, of course, and quite selfishly, the reason for putting forward some number is to get as close to a balanced budget as you can, so that there doesn't get to be increasing pressure from the delegation and others. If you understate revenue, it puts more pressure on expenses. So the idea is to.
That's true, but at the end of the year, when that comes in, it goes in to offset the following year's request. So I think it balances out in the end.
Well,
I mean, we're not hiding any money.
oh, no, it's not hiding any money, although any surplus revenues don't really get carried forward. They can go into the reserve if the commissioners so choose, but it doesn't
No,
go,
it's a delegation
but
that
it doesn't get
approves.
carried forward to Mountain View unless approved by, I mean, each year is a new year for revenue and whatever, so
Yeah.
it changes their opinion, but it doesn't automatically get carried through. So we try to match it up as, on a conservative side.
Now I know why you did it.
Well, because it's, you know, we were hoping that it was gonna be this amount, but we thought the realistic thing that we could defend would be, if we always take a 3-year average, then we're gonna be able to say that we didn't pick any number, we picked a number that we had a reasonable basis for.
Now, I take that back. In our budget, it shows when we receive that pro-share money.
It
It
does,
shows in the nursing home, the enterprise budget.
oh, it
It
does,
shows as an income,
no, exactly.
yeah.
And so at
the nursing home gets a credit for it. I
So-
thought you were saying that it just goes into the general fund.
Oh, no, the nursing home gets credit for it,
Goes to the nursing home.
but it does generate essentially surplus revenue at the end of the year
That's
for the
true.
county.
That's true.
And that stays with county funds at that point. It does not go, doesn't get carried forward into the next fiscal year.
Well, okay, we'll
And
discuss
then
it.
the commissioners decide whether to keep it in reserve or to use it to reduce future tax
We
liability.
only make the recommendation, the delegation approves whether they put it towards reducing taxes or they put it in a capital expense account.
Right.
Right. Okay.
But we're favorable in this year in any case, so we're both lucky and pleased. Shrub
Okay.
replacement went well. Under the item 6, a number of different minor things, but want to keep you advised
So
of
what's
things.
gonna happen with the shrub replacement? Are they gonna come and replace
They're gonna
it
come and replace them.
with the same type of,
That's my understanding,
okay.
that's their only obligation, is to make those work.
But I'm wondering if those weren't hardy, why are we going to put the same
Same
ones
thing
back
back
in
in.
again?
Well, other ones were hardy. We only lost 3 over the winter.
The same varieties?
Yeah, no, one was lilac and the other 2 were plethora or something like that. I don't know what they are.
Spireas? Don't know, okay, all right,
But overall, with the,
okay.
all the plants that were done, we lost only 3. I think we did really
Okay.
well.
But Bob did well in negotiating with them, so we're pleased that that'll be at no
We didn't lose
expense.
any trees though, right?
No.
Okay.
Under review, we're looking at a new pharmacy contract. We're also looking at, this actually goes back to questions raised by the commissioners some weeks ago about should we be looking at professional contracts the same way that we look at purchasing things? And that's exactly what we're doing here. Pharmacy is big, physician and ancillary services are big, so we're essentially putting that out almost in a bid type fashion, but at least soliciting proposals. Second page, Becky found an iCare provider who will actually come and make essentially house calls. This not only has the benefit of making it available to people who can't get to a ophthalmologist's office, but it makes it convenient for everybody else, but it also saves Mountain View considerable amount in that we're not providing transportation and an aid to go out. We're looking at new computer software that integrates clinical, MDS, financial, and medical record storage, and that's looking optimistic. We did create just to complicate things, we're creating another fund within that gift card. For casual Fridays, you'll see that when you come into the Mountain View on Fridays, there are some staff that are wearing jeans. Well, they pay $1. That used to go to a separate fund. Now it's actually going to a staff appreciation fund that we've created.
Now, did you create it or did the staff create it?
Well, we created it for the staff because
And they approved it?
They did.
Okay.
Well, truth is they had to, because, well, on a given Friday, we were collecting, $10. Well, there were a lot more than 10 people that were casual, so we needed either to do away with casual Fridays or to collect it. We all thought that staff would be more willing to support it if it went into a staff appreciation fund. So we did sound it out actually with the union leadership, and they endorsed it.
Okay.
But what it'll do, it'll give us a source of funding for ongoing staff appreciation efforts, which is a good thing. The server upgrade has been delayed. I expect that you know that John Rich was in a pretty serious accident, doing well from all reports, but I'm sure that's going to be a delay in getting our new servers installed.
We need to find out what the alternative is with him being out. And we'll check on it here.
I have,
You have already?
yeah.
Go ahead.
I called John and talked to him
Yeah.
the other day to see how he's doing. He's doing a lot of the work from home, and
Okay.
his wife has real working knowledge of the system here, and she's over here also.
Okay.
And I believe there's one other person that works for him that's
Yeah,
here.
he was in the other day. So he does
right-
have some
Right now,
backup.
we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
But in the future, on any contract,
Yep.
this is something that should be considered.
Yep.
Either that, if, make them swear they don't ride a motorcycle.
Well, in all things.
And you ride a motorcycle, right?
I do,
And you have
You do
coverage.
too?
of
Oh,
course,
yeah?
Do you use a helmet?
always.
All right.
So you come out,
I won't tell you about the skydiving part of things, so, but.
Well, that's all right. If you skydive and it doesn't open, you die. If you're on a motorcycle,
Yeah, you're in.
Well, you bounce first, and then you die.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
You ride to work on a motorcycle?
I do, except when there's more than a 30% chance of rain, which has been like all the time, so.
Okay.
Today I'm here by Jeep, and yesterday by Jeep. New security camera's been installed at the main entrance. That's actually, it's, and so that you know the reason of it, and I think staff now accept the fact that, we've had some occasions when there's been elopement, which is a resident leaving. While we have a wonderful system where theoretically that makes it impossible because it locks the door, if somebody else is going through the door and somebody tag teams.
And it doesn't close
It is
completely.
theoretically possible, and it has happened. It allows us to identify the when and where. And it also helps us with some security issues, because we do have a number of people coming in using the cafe, and we've had a couple of minor issues, and the camera already has been helpful in helping us to
How
identify.
long will that stay on film?
It's motion activated, what?
No, it's not, it runs continuously, but there's 11-day memory.
11-day memory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which gives us a good window, so. We're still getting preliminary estimates on possible improvements to the garden area, including a back area. In fact, met today with East Coast Foundations to try to get, rather than just toss it up in the theory to you, I want to be able to give you a real price and then decide whether we go and get bids or not, but at least we want to have an estimate of
Okay.
what it would cost.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, David, when you go around the back side of the building, that back area, except for the 4 little trees, looks pretty empty.
Now, which back area?
Well, towards the old nursing home.
Okay.
It doesn't look like there's much there. Can't we get the backhoe and drop a couple of good-sized trees in there, and if they take, they take, and if they don't, we haven't lost anything, and try to make it look like there's some, like the pictures that they gave us, rather than the renditions, rather than having it just grass.
Well, now, that's a thought. Now, what we're looking at right here is at that back entrance where you have, Harrison Moore's garden area.
Yeah.
Looking at whether or not it'd be possible, practical, and affordable, if we put a concrete pad between there and the fire road, so that we could put a tent, a pavilion, slides, someplace where that would be level where residents could get out. And then there's an idea that Becky has, that if we want to cross the road someday at some point, wouldn't that be a wonderful place for a greenhouse and even more extensive garden areas? But there's no reason why trees at some point shouldn't be part of that plan. But we thought the most important thing, first things first, would be how can we get residents out? Because we have, there's a little patio space right outside the Mount Washington Valley room, but it's very tight. But you get some good weather, it'd be nice, and there's some great views out there. But
Like those peace gardens that you walk through with the rocks.
oh, well, that would be nice too.
Yeah, they have some at hospitals.
Because actually, where people are very impressed is the old garden area at the
Boy,
entrance
doesn't
to
that
the
look
old
beautiful?
building. What's that?
Doesn't that look beautiful?
That's why, I mean, that's a wonderful area, but we thought,
That's gonna get destroyed once that first front section comes down.
well, we want to be sure we move, if we can get the core in place, then we know where to put things.
Yeah.
So if we can get this in place, then we can start working with our gardeners and our master gardeners at where things go. But the key elements are concrete, electrical, and plumbing. So I'll have some prices on that actually soon. We're negotiating with Time Warner over cable TV contracts. That's actually been a request of the resident council to see if we can't get some enhanced service, and I think we're trying to get it moved from Albany, New York to Portland. I think we can get a municipal contract rate as opposed to a private rate, a commercial rate, and it should save us some money, and might give us some extra service. Patty's gonna be teaching another LNA course here in the fall. Monthly meetings with department heads begin this week, starting actually today. Becky and I have started monthly meetings with the union representatives, both to review existing things, issues, if there are any that are going on, but also to start now for preparations for discussions on issues that might need to be or should be part of a revised collective bargaining agreement that ends next April.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. Going back, Howie, on the LNA course, one of the things we learned when Melissa had that gathering, the IT gathering at Sunny Villa from the expert down in Stratford County, that as a teaching facility, we can get extra Medicaid money. Are we doing that?
Well,
Medicaid or Medicare, I can't remember.
it wasn't that we get extra Medicaid money. What it did mean is that becoming an educational facility.
get a grant or
meant we
something.
got discounts, we were eligible for discounts on computer equipment.
That's right, it was, yeah.
And John Rich is taking full advantage of that. And we're talking not just like a little difference, it's on software especially. But John leaped right onto that, so we're gonna be getting some significant discounts.
That's right, it was from Microsoft, as I recall.
Exactly, and John is taking full advantage of that, to his credit, so he leaped right on that, but none of us would have ever thought that by teaching an LNA course, we qualified as an educational facility, but we do. So that was well worth the cost of admission to that meeting just to learn that. Staff newsletter is out, a copy is attached. I'm still waiting on a final bill from our flagpole guy before we know how much money we have. We know we have enough money to pay for the flagpole and the work that we've done, but it still would be desirable for us to be able to add lighting to it. Right now, we're taking the flag in and out, which isn't a problem, but this is summer, it's a different story come winter, so I'm hoping that we'll have enough money to do that. And I think that's it. So a lot going on, but most things are under control.
Okay, anybody else got any further questions?
When do we get ice cream?
Ice cream, well, you had to be here Friday.
Oh, that was Friday.
That was
okay.
Friday, that's in the
I
past.
missed it.
Is it? That's not every Friday.
No, not every
First day
Friday,
of
that,
summer.
for only on the first day of summer.
All right.
Oh, the first day of summer.
Did you have chocolate sauce?
We did,
You see,
see, and Jimmy's.
Maureen Spencer must have been in charge, or wasn't in charge.
No, it was Patty and Becky.
Okay, because Maureen makes false promises when it comes to chocolate
She
sauce.
promised you sauce and didn't deliver?
That's
Well,
correct,
yeah.
at the dessert day.
that'll make the headlines, watch
Yep.
out.
Have to get there early.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
have a question. Depreciation fund, that is the same as the employee fund, eh?
Same, it is,
Depreciation, so depreciation fund of employee fund.
exactly. Well, we hope to have more and more structured opportunities to recognize, celebrate, and make staff appreciation a built-in function of what we're looking to do all the time.
I hope when supervisors are doing evaluations that they encourage employees to get further education that pertains to or is closely associated with the work that they're doing or an advancement in the type of work that they're doing and not something way out somewhere.
Well, and there's funding for that, and we haven't utilized it to advantage at all. Within the state, there's a long-term care foundation that makes available grants, and it's administered by the affiliates group of the Association of Counties, and they complain that they get very few applications. So,
There's that chance to
We- I
get some
mean,
of our people.
and some of those grants are averaging $1,500, and and the threshold is all it needs to do is be a staff member looking to promote, to develop themselves within their career. So it's not to train an LNA to be a welder, but it's to get experience or training. So that's something, that's part of why I've started the monthly meetings with staff, supervisors, is want to be sure that we're looking at what are we doing to show appreciation. To be appreciative and not to show it, it doesn't have an effect. And if we're gonna promote our staff and keep our staff, encouraging them to learn is gonna be an important thing. So getting that education component is gonna be important.
Howie, is there anything in our contracts that obligates the county to pay for education?
Nothing at all. So there's nothing in the collective
So
bargaining
there's
agreement.
been no squawk? I mean, I would think that would be perhaps something that we could put in a contract. If they go to school and they get a passing grade, that
We have an unofficial
policy?
policy, well, it's not really a policy, but it's to help, if an employee wants to go to become an RN, there is some money to help, and they have to guarantee that they're gonna stay here another 2 years after they receive it. I'm not sure, I know since I've been here, there's been a couple, maybe 3 that I can think of that have taken advantage of that, but I haven't seen anything recently.
And that isn't part of collective bargaining, but
No.
it is part of past practice. So that's essentially it's a commissioner's discretionary opportunity, which isn't a bad way to do it, because you don't always know if you're gonna have the money to be able to do it.
Right. Okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Howie.
Thank you.
Bob Murray.
Good morning.
Good morning. We got 2 bids that came in. Came into our office. 2 bids for the pellet.
That's not to stab me with.
No. Geez, sharp too.
Why would you have a dull knife in your pocket?
There's another
You get hurt with
I
it.
thought after cutting all the baler twine that you do, that maybe you got dull. Yeah, you can open up that one.
So we got 2?
That's all the sheets.
What we're going to do, we'll open up these bids, then we'll give them to Bob, and for him to come in with a recommendation next week as to which one he thinks should be chosen.
So this came by fax? How does this came in by fax? Bob?
I don't know, but what is the bid?
Because
How it came
there's
in?
no
Came in an
letterhead,
envelope.
nothing. I think it's from him.
Yeah, Dave, you read along.
We got 3 copies?
No, I'm just passing you the
Oh,
pages.
Okay, it's at Maine Woods Pellet Company.
you got a price yet?
Yep.
Lot of paperwork.
I want to see what they're bidding on first.
It said 172 price per ton.
What is the other one?
Yeah, George? Okay, we got one from Maine Woods Pellet Company. Their office location is in Athens, Maine. And their price per ton is $172 FOB. The average BTU content is 8,250. 70% hardwoods, 30% softwoods. Pellet size, 1/4 inch. Moisture content, it looks like 0.5%. Pellet weight in pounds per cubic foot, 40 to 41. And that's from Robert Linkletter, managing member of Maine Woods Pellets.
Do you have the cover letter for this one, David?
Yep. Right here.
Okay. The only other bid that we have is from Sandry Energy. I believe they're our current supplier, are they not, Bob? These are the stipulations that we sent out. Their response is a price per ton. They have an asterisk here, delivered price, full truck line only, 30 tons, $219 a ton. Average BTU is 8,200 per pound. Source of material, hard, soft, percentage of blend, 80% hardwood, 20% softwood. The fines are 0.5%. Pellet durability index, which is one that I don't understand, is 96.5. Pellet size is 230 thousandths to 285 thousandths. So what did you have there, 1/4 of an inch?
Yep.
And they can hold it with no tolerance? Doesn't make any sense. Moisture content is less than 5%, and the pellet weight, pounds per cubic foot, are 40 to 46. What do you have there?
40 to 41.
Okay. And then they do have a couple of other stipulations here. Shipments ordered by buyer that exceed available storage area. Available storage is subject to an additional charge of $75. I want to talk to Bob about that one. Deliveries delayed by more than 1 hour due to circumstances caused by the buyer are subject to an additional $75 per hour. Bob, I thought we had this discussion when this contract went out last year, and I pointed out to you people that there was no stipulation, the price was for a ton, for whatever it was, 400 tons, and I asked, what happens if we order 420, use 420? Did Sandry have the option to increase the price for the last 20?
Yeah, we brought that up into question last year, and they
Can I
said that...
finish, please?
I'm sorry.
And then the other side of that was, what happens if we only burn 380? Were they gonna hold the price for the 380 instead of 400? Well, you did your homework and you found out that they were holding the price both ways. This looks like a change. Shipments ordered by the buyer that exceed available storage are subject to an additional charge of $75. That would indicate to
No.
me they're either gonna pour it on the ground or haul it back to wherever they come from.
Well, what that means is if we have a 30-ton silo, or a little more, 34-ton silo, and if I order 30 tons, but in fact it'll only take 27 tons because it fills up, we still had some pellets in the bottom. They have to haul those remaining 3 tons of pellets back, weigh the truck again on the scale, and do something with those pellets. That's a charge to cover their expenses for having to deal with the leftover on that particular delivery.
Was that the same stipulation that was there last time?
Same as last year, and they worked with us because it was a new system, and we had to work out the ordering, and fortunately, we got it right every time. It took a full load every single time, so there were no charges.
So you have to be sure we're down to approximately 4 tons left in the
Oh, yeah,
in the cooler before
Yeah.
before you can order, and then we have to count on them being here when they say
exactly.
they're going to be here.
Exactly. There were 2 instances, it was cold weather, we ran out overnight, and they were delivering the pellets the next day, so it wasn't a big deal, but, yeah, it's timing is critical.
Is there anything in their that we have that says if they don't show up when they're supposed to be and we have to burn propane, that we can back charge them?
No.
So it's a one-way street.
Well, there usually is and things like that. I don't think they would accept a contract that had that kind of a stipulation.
But they expect us to have it absolutely perfect when they come up here.
Of course.
Okay.
And they're out of Greenfield, Massachusetts. I guess that's the office?
They're just the transportation company. The pellets come from New Hampshire.
Come from
From
Jaffrey.
Jaffrey?
Yes,
Jaffrey.
they come from New England wood pellets.
What did we pay last year for a ton from them?
200 delivered,
200 delivered.
which worked out to be around 180 a ton plus a $575 delivery charge.
Okay.
Say that again?
200, based on 30 tons, on the 30-ton tractor trailer, they were charging us $200 a ton delivered. But say if I ordered 20 tons, they would do the flat $575 delivery fee. Even if I ordered 5 tons in the truck, it would still be a $575 delivery fee. So it worked out to be about $180 a ton.
So where did this $575 come from?
That's a delivery charge that's built into the price of the pellets.
But they don't have that
Based on
in
a certain
quote.
quantity.
So if they, is this it?
Yeah, they do. It says.
So if they come up here with,
delivered.
something happens and they come up here with 28 tons,
Mhm.
the price isn't $219.
That's right, it's based on a 30-ton delivery. Maximum usage of the truck, maximum usage of our silo.
So you've taken the total cost of transportation, total cost of pellets, divided it
By
by
30.
30 tons,
Exactly.
and that's what they're charging us.
That's right. If I order less pellets, it costs us more. So it's to our best advantage to order and accept 30 tons at a time.
Okay.
Come in next week with a recommendation, please.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you wanna,
No,
no? Have you hired a maintenance person yet?
no, I'm starting interviews today.
Okay, I saw the ad in the paper, yeah. We were only vacant one person at the nursing home, one vacancy? And that's in maintenance?
That's in maintenance.
LNAs are full?
LNAs are presently full, although Becky is reorganizing. We're probably gonna be, we have some per diems that haven't been working regularly, so eventually that's gonna shake out to probably open up a LNA position or two, but there's nothing presently open.
Okay. Everything's going fine?
Everything's fantastic.
Okay, good, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Do you mind if I stay for the work session?
No.
The
No.
old nursing home?
Yep.
Thank you.
One item that has come up, that came up last week, I think, by Commissioner Babson, and that is we need to get the IT committee going again. I gave him the minutes that I found regarding who was on it, and I would suggest that maybe those same members be on that committee again, and hopefully the HR person would be on that as well. Do you have any problems with that?
No, and I have a new recruit.
You have a new recruit, okay.
The IT gentleman from Brewster Academy has volunteered. We have 4 people in his department. They maintain all the equipment over there. He's worked with other entities, and he'd be, provided it isn't a huge time-consuming job, he would like to be part of it.
I would like to be
That's
part of
great.
it as well.
Okay. I forget who the representative is from the nursing home.
I'm not sure.
I looked, there's quite a few people on it representing a lot of, mostly all of the, another lieutenant is on from the jail. I remember seeing his name.
I'd expected it'd either be Becky or Paula, or both.
I don't remember, but it's down on, I think it's still on your desk, Commissioner.
It would actually be good to have Becky, because an awful lot of our future needs with IT are clinical based
Mhm.
in how we deal and access with that.
Okay, Work session, you got a list of items we still have?
Well, I got a couple of questions.
Okay,
Commissioner Kenney, I guess, has hired her own personal lawyer to be involved with the 91A suit that's been brought forward by Ed
That's
and Melissa. And in the course of doing so, our lawyer, the board's lawyer has had to spend some time with Commissioner Kenney's lawyer. I want it understood that I in no way will sign a check to pay for time spent with our lawyer discussing the case with
her lawyer.
with her lawyer. The taxpayer shouldn't have to do that. If she wants to handle the cost of it, that's fine, but if they're gonna include our lawyer, she should handle the cost of that also. And I hope you feel the same, Mr. Chairman.
I feel the same. It was identified by our attorney that she has a lawyer, and, yeah, I feel the same way. Any comment?
Yes, I pay for my own lawyer, and I don't know if she's talking to my lawyer and what she's doing, but that is what you get if you start a bogus investigation and spend a lot of taxpayers' money. That is what you get. And also there are other bills. There was a policy in place, and that you can only with majority of the vote. It was changed a couple times. You can call a lawyer. I see there are bills from thousands of dollars. It's a violation of the own policy.
Can you document that? Thousands of dollars?
Yeah, thousands
Bring
of
them in
dollars.
Bring it in next week?
Yeah, that needs to be paid.
The other situation is apparently Commissioner Kenney was looking for Jason all weekend for some, had to do apparently when he called me on Monday, had to do with the ice taking out the air conditioning unit 10 years ago. And I would like to know why Commissioner Kenney is after that information, in particular because it's part of the case coming up.
Because there is a 91A file, so I wanted to make sure if that information is given. That is the 91A.
Yes, and you were present in the room when we discussed that it was given. Why are you after Jason?
When was it given?
When the lawyer was there collecting the information, she got it.
When was the lawyer in?
I don't know, but she was here sometime, and we covered that.
And she got it?
She came in last week.
Well,
to
how
talk
do
to
I know
Kathy
if she
Garry.
got it? I was not here.
I wasn't either, so I don't know.
Because the email, what I have is that it was open, and she needed that information, and I asked for that information. And I didn't chase him the whole weekend. I asked one time for it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And the information, another comment, not even if somebody filed a 91A, you need to comply with the 5 business days. The information needs to be accurate too. Because if you look at the information given,
The information that's
The-
requested?
yeah, the information given from the county, it said on it, talk to Boyd, and there was no claim filed. But now suddenly there is a claim. Suddenly we have the information. Because that is, I said, give me the email, what you send out there, what you give to the person. And I got the information. I said, that is strange. No claim, but suddenly there is information. So make sure that the information sent out is also accurate.
Okay. I have a report from the Sheriff's Department regarding handling of cash. They have a policy.
Yeah, I called him for, and I emailed him also if I can have, because we discussed it last week, that we needed to have some paperwork from him.
I haven't had a chance to read it, I just got it this morning.
Yeah, I got it this morning.
It looks, it's a report as to the purpose, policy, management of cash intake from civil process, management of cash intake from prisoner bail process, and an independent audit. Did you have contact with our auditor, John Lyford? Do you have a conversation with him at all? No?
Last time was about 6 months ago,
Oh,
and I
okay.
discovered that
He's in,
he's been in for,
he's been in and out. Friday he
no, I
does
haven't, David.
Hale's location, and I guess he's here today.
John Lightfoot is not an auditor. He
Well,
is,
he audits the county books. The RFP for the person that audits him, because it's a requirement, Kathy Garry has put together, and that will be going out. And as she said this morning, there are only 2, maybe 3 auditors in the state that does that kind of work.
David, I'd like to correct something.
Go ahead.
He is an auditor. He's not a certified public accountant.
Okay.
so when did he say he's an auditor? Because he's not. I asked him, and he said he's not an auditor. He is helping, together with Kathy Garry, he's helping preparing some financial statements. So he's not an auditor. If he is an auditor, why do we have to hire another auditor then?
Because it's
It's
the
the
law.
law.
And that
But
just
he
went
is-
into effect within probably the last 2 years.
But he's not an auditor. He told me he's helping preparing financial statements.
I think what we need to do is look at the annual report and see how it is signed as to whether he audits the book, if this is the auditing report. It's in the annual,
In the annual, it's only financial statements. I look it up because you keep on saying audit reports are in the annual. And I look it up, there are no audit reports in, only financial statements.
okay. I will check it out. I thought it was an auditing
No,
report.
it's no audit.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I don't think there was an audit for the last 3 years.
It wasn't put in because
10,
he was
11.
late in getting it, or it came after. We have a certain requirement that the annual report needs to be out by law. And if he hasn't got, he does do the auditing for the nursing home so that they can get their funding, whatever it is, approved. And that has a certain deadline, it has to be done. So he does that first. Anyway, I'll look at the last annual reports. Okay, we're into work session. You still got some items? that
Nothing
you-
else this week?
Not this week? Handling cash. Bob, I'd like your opinion as to the, that, not now, but at least, we gotta get that RFP out regarding the old nursing home.
Yep.
And you were in checking the square footage
Yeah,
with
let's do
Kathy
that.
Gary, right?
Well, we didn't actually go in and physically measure it, but. we
No,
looked
but
at-
by that plan,
Yeah.
come on up. Let's see if we can't get
Can
this
you help us out?
concluded here.
Well,
Good to see you. We'll get to you in a minute. Have you had a chance, did you rewrite this, or did you collaborate with?
I collaborated with Kathy
Yeah.
last week
Yeah.
on putting this together, and it looks consistent with what we were discussing.
but the numbers don't add up from what's been
They're
said all
not,
along.
this isn't a science. I mean, we didn't go over there and physically measure with a tape measurement. These are approximations, good approximations based on information that we've had for years, but they're approximations nonetheless.
Can you answer some questions then? That front portion into which the cooperative extension was gonna go, we always were told that that was 3,500 square feet,
Oh, okay. I was gonna say 3,000, but that's.
so maybe 3,000.
I think the office space that Cooperative Extension was planning on using was about 3,000 square feet.
Okay,
But if you add in the proposed tear down up to the wall, that's by the old social services office, you're adding probably another 1,500 square feet, which gets you close to the 4,500 square feet.
Okay, so you're gonna operate with roughly 3,000 for cooperative extension?
Back
Huh?
page, could I see the back page of this?
Oh, I didn't even know it was there, David, I'm sorry. So you're gonna go with 3,000 square feet for the cooperative extent, and 1,500 for the extra square footage that was between the laundry and the pellet, and what would have been the cooperative extension,
More or less.
okay?
See, I thought the cooperative extension went back to that layout.
I did too. So that's roughly 5,000 square feet. Now, we've always been told that, in my recollection, that the back kitchen and eating room was 10,000 square feet.
No.
No?
No,
Oh, wait a minute.
that goes, that 10,000 square feet goes all the way up to the double door that were by the old nursing, Director of Nursing's office.
So what were we told that I misunderstood, the back kitchen and, I guess they call it the
Well,
eating room?
that,
I was under the impression that that was gonna be 10,000 square feet.
no, I think that 10,000 square feet includes the boiler room, the laundry, the electrical room, the activities and old maintenance shop, which is now the pellet boiler room.
So, the laundry, maintenance, and pellet furnace is
And
another
uti-
10.
And then utilities. There's a utility room there, where all electrical,
Okay, utility
Yeah.
was 10,000. So now we're up to 15,000.
It's my understanding that the core, take off the wings, is approximately 15,000 square feet.
yeah.
That,
And if you take off the front of the building up to the wall by that electrical room director of nursing's office,
That's 10.
You're gonna take off, yeah, you've left about 10,000 square feet. More or less.
Yeah, so then when you take off the laundry and all the four items, you get down to roughly how many square feet? 8,000? 7,000?
Say that again, please.
You've got 10,000 square feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
We agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
That includes maintenance, laundry, electrical, and furnaces. Do you know what the square footage of that is?
I'd have to ballpark, I'd have to guess around 4,000.
what was your question, David?
I want to know what is left here.
I think
Okay,
that's about
so
six-
that,
it's
if
probably
the figure's
6,000.
right, it comes out 4,000 or 5,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Or less,
five-
or less.
5,000 or 6,000, I mean, I could go over the tape measure and measure it, find
I
out
guess-
precisely what it is.
I guess we got to do that. We got to come down with a little bit more close accuracy, because when somebody comes in to look at it,
Mhm.
they're going to look at the space and decide whether they can use it or not. That's when we're going to have the real figures.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
They should bring measure it themselves, figure out
Could-
what they want.
Yeah.
Could I ask that you ask Mr. Brown, because he's been in on this from what his recollection of the situation is also.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Can I just, it sounds like Bob's calculating it with removing certain sections, but I believe that this exercise is to try to get as much of the current space rented as possible. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, yeah.
Right, so,
What he
Bob
took
sounded
out,
like, he said, like, taking off the front part and the removal. I think what we need to do is, as Commissioner Babson stated, I believe the core is 15,000 square feet.
right,
If we can determine what the laundry, the pellet boilers, utilities, and maintenance consists of, whether that be 4,000, 5,000, up to 8,000, you would take whatever that figure is, deduct that from the 15,000 in the core, and that would be, if it's just to use round figures, 5,000 square feet for the pellet laundry, that would give you 10,000 feet of rental space available in the core, and then 5,000 per wing, which would give you 20. So whatever the pellet laundry maintenance and utility comes out to, you would, whether that be 4,000 to 8,000, you would just deduct that off the 15 of the core.
But the 15 of the core then also includes the front portion.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're
that's what
also
I just said.
we're trying to rent that also.
Okay,
That, I believe that the delegation stated, put out an RFP to see how much of the area
Extra space.
presently, as it stands today,
yeah,
could be used for rental space.
yep,
So I think you shouldn't be looking at it as, well, we're gonna take the wings off, you just wanna see how much of the present space available today can be rented.
yep.
Less
I follow
whatever
that.
the pellet, laundry, utilities and maintenance is off the 15,000 core.
Yep,
Right.
I agree.
And the measurements that I gave you, that I worked with Kathy on, came from a Bonapage and Stone report dated March 14th, 2012,
Okay,
which is the report.
that's the
that
one
they-
they're following,
Right.
and that's estimates.
These are estimates,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so these figures.
They're probably
are-
pretty close.
Can you measure without a great deal of trouble, measure that area that houses the pellet boiler, the laundry, the utility room, and so we can do as
Yeah.
Mr. Brown suggested and subtract it, and then we can go out for a bid and say there's X amount of square feet available, if you're interested in.
Yeah.
Point of order.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
But the way it's worded now, doesn't it say in the core there will be only 3,000 square feet left?
Yes,
Yep,
That can't, then
can't
what?
be.
Right, because that would say that the pellet, the laundry, the maintenance and utility would be taking up 12,000 square feet.
Yep.
So that's what, I'm just saying, that RFP is confusing the way it's, we need to find out, like I just stated.
well, in it's confusing, I'll agree with that. But it does say the solarium and office space, which is the front portion, is approximately 5,000 square feet. So you add that 5,000 with the 3,000,
Okay.
where was it?
To the core is 8,000.
Leaving approximately 3,000, so there's 8,000 square feet to be rented out.
All right, that
So
sounds more.
it's there, but maybe it's not simple enough to
Not clear.
understand, it's not clear.
And through this exercise, all I'm gonna provide you with is a closer estimate. It's gonna be close to what we have already, but.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the width
You know, I might be
and the
able to-
length, and that's all
All
we
right,
need.
pretty much. You know, I'll separate the dining room and the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay. So we got the right figures, but they're just a little confusing.
Yeah, because it's being divided up.
Could you do that for us, Bob, without a lot of trouble?
Yeah, I have it for you next week. I'm here with the other information.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, we gotta get this out, otherwise we won't get any interest, and what we're looking for is somebody to show an interest, and then we can go into more detail. Okay, are we all set on that? And normally, we don't have point of interest in our work session, but since I let Mr. Brown do it, go ahead, Damon.
Just to be clear, when we do the revised RFP, we're explaining that the space isn't all in one spot, it's in different spots.
Yes.
That's right. That's probably what makes it more confusing.
If you say we have 8,000 square feet available, somebody might think it's an 8,000 square foot room.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 5,000 in the front and 3,000 in the back.
Okay, there you go, you just wrote it.
Yeah. Okay.
Public input and then non-public?
We don't
Yes.
have non-public.
We changed the schedule. We do have one item in the non-public that we need to talk about.
And
You have anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
So, thank you.
You also said you want to talk to Eagle Canadian.
Yes, yes, yes. And how you doing, John?
I've been better. But overall, considering what I've been through, I'm doing okay.
Well, we're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize for missing last week's meeting. It was circumstances beyond my control.
Right. I told my wife, since she got in an accident, if I ever bring up about purchasing a motorcycle, for her to tell me, no, we're not gonna do it.
Well, I will,
Dangerous, dangerous.
They are dangerous.
The risk, there's a risk there, I guess. I don't like to take risks.
There's a risk with everything in life. So I can tell you.
That's true, but there's more risky things than others. Anyway, glad that you are doing well.
Thank you.
And I guess our question is, our coverage is okay?
Coverage is fine. I had Rob here on Monday for our normal visit. Did all that. I will be here 2 or 3 times a week like I always have. Next couple of weeks, probably fewer hours per day while I mend and get my
Yeah.
strength back
Yeah.
and whatnot. I've been loaned this scooter here, and it's actually going to be parked right here in the vault for me, which fortunately fully ADA compliant here, so I have full access to everything here.
Can you walk without it?
I have crutches, yes,
Have you? Okay.
but that puts more strain on me.
Yeah.
Can you drive?
No, I cannot drive.
Is that because you have a motorcycle license and not a car license, or you can't reach the pedals, or you can't put the pressure on the pedals with your back?
I can't put any weight on my right leg
Okay.
for 4 to 6 weeks from last week while my pelvis heals. So, technically I could probably get by with my left leg driving, but I'm just going to.
Don't try, you have a bad
I'm not going to
track
try,
record.
I'm just going to do what the
Don't try
doctors
it.
say and take it easy and get back to 100% as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, glad you came in today, and
Thank you.
we were concerned about you and heard about you last week, and glad things have worked out a little bit better than it could have been.
Could have been a whole lot worse, there's no
Yeah.
question about it.
Yeah.
I know last week, I believe you had wanted to discuss disposal of old sheriff department computers. I
Yes.
didn't know if you wanted to bring that up again.
Yes. And
Yeah.
what's your recommendation?
There's a gentleman that Bob Murray uses, or has used, that will come take them away for free, so we don't have to pay to dispose of them. We don't have the labor involved in disposing of them. The one thing I do is I remove the hard drives, and I use a data removal tool that is military certified to ensure that there is no data whatsoever on them.
Weighs about 24 pounds with a handle.
No, it's actually software. Believe it or not, depending on how hard you hit them with a sledgehammer, you could potentially get bits and pieces off of it.
John, why aren't these computers, not a whole bunch, but 1 or 2 or 3, usable to be set up in the nursing home so the old folks could play free cell,
So our residents,
solitaire?
could,
These are
Yes, sir.
8 to 10-year-old computers. They are old, they are slow. In order to bring them back online, we would need to purchase an OS license, because the OS that they were originally shipped with is so outdated, we can't get current antivirus on them. We would still need a monitor. We don't have spare monitors around here.
well, give us an estimate. What would it cost to take one and set it up so it's usable for a resident at the nursing home? What would it, give us an
You're going to
estimate.
spend $300 in software and hardware to do that. Now, for not a whole lot more, we can get a home-grade gaming computer from our regular sources that would be, today's standards. That would work well. We'd be able to put antivirus on them, get them on the Wi-Fi, get them on the internet. So if that's what you want, we can do that. We also have...
So we could buy a brand-new system for $300?
Under 500
Under 500?
for a home-grade gaming computer.
And it would
Absolutely.
cost us how much to fix up one of ours?
300,
300.
and that's not
it's
talking
still
about
old.
labor or anything like that. That's, so, there are better options if you want to supply more computers in the nursing home.
Okay, how many roughly does he have?
There's got to be around 20 of them, give or take.
20?
And how old is the oldest, and how old is the youngest?
I don't have that information directly in front of me, but everything that we have designated to be disposed of is at least 6 or 7 years old, and some of them are probably a dozen years old. Anything newer than that, we are keeping, because they still have some potential value here at the county, as emergency backup, things like that.
And most of those were put together by David Myers,
Originally, yes.
so they could have been rebuilt to start with.
They were hand-built by him at the time. They are no-name brand computers. Buy a case, buy a motherboard, put them together. I'm sure cost was a factor when he was trying to put them together.
Yeah.
And they serve their purpose. He did training and things like that with them. It's just,
Okay.
they will not run the software that we use here at the county at this point.
Jason, do we have any need for computers at the jail? No.
No.
Do you have any extra ones over there you need to get rid of?
We're looking to update a couple of computers this year, but again, those are multiple years old. Some of them are since we moved in back in '03.
Yeah, I think we still have a couple, 2 or 3 of the computers that were purchased in 2003 still in service. I think one is they use to log visitors. Again, very limited use, old and slow, but it's served its purpose. And one of the things, the overall master plan that I've been trying to do is get us to a point where we're not having to replace everything at once. You may or may not recall, but when I came before you a couple of years ago, after having done a complete system-wide survey, I told you that 90% of what was here in the administration building and what was in the nursing home was all outdated and needed to be replaced. And so one of the things I've done is taken a look at the big picture, and we're phasing in the various departments, and it'll be part of the capital budget from here on out that we replace a certain portion, or update or upgrade or whatever we have to do, so that we're not coming before you with a big capital expense in any one given year.
I hope when you get that finished, that long-range plan, that it goes through the IT committee, which we're going to, I don't want to say reorganize, but reinstitute, or get those active again.
I would actually appreciate that.
They have an input into it, and they would come in, you give them a recommendation, they would come in to us with a recommendation as to
Sure.
what needs to be done, where the priority is. Okay?
Absolutely.
John, would you do me one favor
Yes, sir.
and call the Wolfboro Children's Center
Okay.
and see if they have a requirement for the little kids to bang on a old computer?
Absolutely.
Because I know years ago.
The Advocacy Center? Is that what you mean? The Advocacy
No,
Center?
the Wolfboro Children's Center,
Oh,
the daycare center, and I know they used to take them in, and before we junk them, let's make sure there's, nobody can get a use out of them, provided it's cost effective.
But if he said that he take the hard drive out, it will be a cost to them too, if they going to
We-
want to have it up and running.
Right. We have hard drives. I can put a blank hard drive back
So you
in.
can do that.
Yeah, the hard drives are not being destroyed, they are just being securely erased. So we can ship them with a hard drive on the machine. What we don't have is licenses for the operating system, so when you turn them on, they do absolutely nothing. Nothing.
okay, we got any other questions for him?
I have a question for John.
Ed, you
Yes,
got
sir.
something?
The hard drives, before you wipe them, are you archiving what's on them for future
No.
historical information?
No, there should not be any data on them. All data should be on the server, but as a security precaution, I do wipe them just to ensure that there is nothing accidentally copied onto a local machine.
So the data that was originally on them is somewhere else?
Yes,
Backed
if
up.
there was any data. There should not have ever been any data on these machines. And in fact, David Myers was very good about making sure that that was not the case. And in fact, when he had these machines, he did wipe them off regularly as a precaution anyway.
So all email, it all goes to the server first? So all
Absolutely.
the computers in the complex are basically terminals? And all the information stored on the server, there shouldn't be anything on the hard drives anyway.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And thank you, John. Thank you for coming in this morning.
You're welcome. That was the Wolfboro Children's Center?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, John.
Welcome.
Okay,
Forgive me while I learn to drive my new wheels.
go ahead. We'll go back, I guess, go into public input. Public input now, go ahead, Damon.
The answer on that is a lawnmower.
Oh,
The situation with the lawyers could be explained a little better.
well, some of it was done in non-public session, so I think we've explained it the best we can right now.
Can you say how much money this is costing?
Say that again?
How much money this costs? Have you got?
Don't know yet? It hasn't gone to court?
We know the hourly rate is, what, 225 or?
$2.25 an hour.
Something like that.
And this is regarding Ed and Melissa's lawsuit?
91A, yes.
I guess I don't understand why Asha would feel the need to hire a lawyer about that, because it wasn't really anything against her. Why would?
She can answer that, I can't.
Because she asked for certain information about me, that's why.
Okay.
Answer your question?
That's the answer,
All right.
okay?
Okay, anybody
Well,
else? Public input?
No, actually, I had some things that I needed to go over with you in work session, and I
All right.
understood that that was related.
Come on up.
The procedure that we discussed the last time that we met regarding the Personnel Committee has been provided to the county attorney for her review.
Okay.
And she is going to be touching base with Merrimack County prosecuting attorney to find out what his involvement has been historically.
Okay.
I didn't know if you wanted to continue with the Carroll County procedure for suspension or discharge. That would be the board's procedure.
I haven't reviewed it, have you? No.
You talked about it last week, or didn't talk about it?
No, we had delayed it.
She passed it out
okay.
last week.
Yeah, I know you give something. In my opinion, I think maybe we should wait and see what the new HR director, what her opinion is, because she has to go over these procedures too. Maybe she wants to make
Has
some
she been, has she been sent a copy?
maybe she wants to make some
She was given a copy when she was here
corrections.
2 weeks ago on
Okay.
Friday.
But she didn't
Okay.
send in any corrections or what she wants. Because if she's here, she will go anyway over all this, and maybe she has some recommendations, or maybe she will advise the board. I think we should wait for her so that she go over all this and come to advise us.
Well, two of us, have you read it all? Have you read them all?
I know I read it briefly because she gave it last week. Let me see if I have it here.
Well, but we'll table it anyway until
Sure.
we
The
have a chance to read it.
employment practices policy and the right to know policy, are we ready to look at those? Or
No.
Okay. Commissioner Babson, you had requested some information regarding the 8.36%
Yes.
increase in the insurances.
Yes.
I did touch base with Al Jones at New Hampshire Interlocal Trust. What he advises is that that breaks down to approximately 3% increase due to the mandated benefits required under the ACA, which is the part of the ruling that increases coverage to children up to 26 years of age, whether they're dependents or college-bound or not.
So 3% is Obamacare,
Well, actually, 3.77% is.
okay?
Uh,
3.77%.
0.2% of that is attributable to the PCORI, which is the Patient Center Outcomes Research Institute, that was a development of the Obama administration's Affordable Care Act. The fees from employers and insurance companies are necessary to provide medical plans that fund that institute, and the fees are calculated based on the number of lives covered per year. And the remaining .75% is a transitional reinsurance tax. This is a program
You're
that
going
helps.
too fast for me, Deb.
I'm sorry.
2% funds for, okay, and what's the next one?
The third portion, 0.75%,
Yep.
is a transitional reinsurance tax.
What does that mean?
It's a program that helps subsidize premiums in individual health insurance markets and requires supporting by fees from employers, which of course would be the county in our case, on an annual basis.
Okay.
So the sum total of those is 3.77% of the 8.36% increase that we had.
Okay. And the other 4% is, or did you just say that? The other 4% is our actuarial.
Is our actuarial, yes, and that is, that's claims driven. We did
Yep.
have some high claims.
Could you check, Mr. Brown has asked the question of our insurance premiums going up because of our investigations and the payouts that the insurance company has made in our behalf
No, you're not talking
for the
about
last
health.
5 years as to whether our premiums are going up?
Okay, you're
from
talking about
Primex.
property and liability?
Yeah,
Yes, for 5-year
5 years.
history of our insurance premiums to
Between you,
Primex.
between you and Kathy Garry should be able to come up with that.
Yep.
Is that 4% our actuality or occurrence is that based just on us, or is that based on all of Primex's customers and everybody's getting a 4% increase?
That's actually based on us. I did reach out and
Our
touch.
own history.
Yes.
Okay.
I did touch base with our partners in the Infera, and insurance rates were increasing anywhere from, I believe it was 2.5% up to 11.5%. So when I looked at nationwide statistics, it looked like kind of a general average of roughly 7%. So I think we came in well, with the exception of the Obamacare.
Could you, without a great deal of work, if our rate is increased 4%, whatever that 4% is, could you check and see what Primex's payout has been? Well, it will be this year versus the 4% increase for next year, and see if there's any correlation there. Are they charging us the 4% more than what they paid out, or is the 4% less than what they paid out, or?
Don't they give us a figure periodically as to what our risk is?
They do.
And
My point being, and to say it doesn't cost the taxpayers anything, is if the
well,
4% is more than, we're paying more than what they paid out in settlement, it's certainly costing the taxpayers something.
about 4%, okay.
And I think.
Didn't we adjust our, that may have been health benefits, to pool them with a bigger pool? Wasn't that done within the last couple of years, and it's effective the 1st of July or something like that? Am I wrong?
I'm not clear on what you're talking about. That may have been something that was
I
discussed
think
before I
Primex
came on
wanted
board.
us to change our date so that we could go into a
Bigger pool. You
bigger
did-
pool.
You did say something about when I was a member of the public, that, yeah, they were gonna move something that would cause us to be in a bigger pool.
So it'd be
than a
less
smaller-
cost
than a smaller
to
pool.
us.
I can look into that. It's not something that I'm familiar
Okay.
with,
It
and
may have
I
been before
don't.
your time.
I suspect so. This is the
Okay.
first I'm hearing of it, but I can certainly look into it for you.
Okay.
Toward that end, I should let you know that I have been looking at moving our dental open enrollment to a June timeframe to correlate with our open enrollment benefits fair, so that we're not breaking that up. We have a lot of confusion out in the trenches, so to speak, about when open enrollment for dental is as opposed to medical. And this past month, during open enrollment for the medical, I actually received 9 enrollment forms from people who wanted to go ahead and start signing up for the dental, which currently doesn't happen until January.
Okay.
So, the last thing I wanted to bring to your attention was that we had last discussed the reference guide, and you had inquired cost quotes for just the paper itself without any kind of binding or anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I did receive those. Lilac Printing came back to me with a quote of $340, including delivery, for 100 booklets, color printed, 3-hole punched, with, bless
Excuse
you,
me.
no binding. And Minuteman Press, for the same quote, gave me an estimated cost of $492.
100 booklets?
Correct.
How many quotes do you have? 2?
2.
So what was the first again?
$340,
340, and the second?
$492.
492.
And neither one of these are bound, they're loose leaf
Correct.
type.
They would require that we buy the materials to bind them ourselves, and
Yeah, but it would be a notebook type, right? 3-ring punch type?
actually, what I found through Staples
Yeah.
for really pennies on the dollar was a clear-covered, soft folder that instead of actually having the rings, has the tabs.
It goes the length of the left side, and you put it on, fold it
Correct.
over.
Correct.
Okay.
You ought to get out more often, Dave.
I know. I know.
This quote, this is only for the department heads, what you put it in one office? How many are you getting?
Of how many?
100.
Yeah, 100.
Well, 100 initially.
But I thought that we had a discussion about we were not going to put it on a CD.
I haven't gotten any quotes back for anybody able to put it on a CD.
I thought we were going to have it on a CD and they go read it and then sign the paper. Didn't we talk about it?
We did talk about that. The limitation to that is a large number of our employees don't have regular access to computers,
So
either
they-
at home or at work.
So they cannot, we have so many computers here in all the departments, so they cannot go sit there and read that?
They're working.
Correct. We're unable to take, for instance, our LNAs and nursing staff off the floor to have them go sit down and read those things. And most people aren't willing to forfeit their break time or their lunch time to do things like that.
Yeah, but there must be a computer available in a nursing home that they can go there and read it if they
It's the
sign up.
time. It's the time involved.
Yeah, but what is the time? I
That they're
mean,
supposed
it's
to be
not,
working.
it's not 100 pages. I mean, I don't know,
My
professional.
okay, my question would be, are we complete? I mean, we're gonna be adding things to this, right? Over a period of time?
We'll be adding
And we've
things
got
to
two or
it. We'll be
three things
changing
we
things
need
from
to-
time to time.
Yeah. And we got 2 or 3 things right now on our list to review, to be added to that.
Well, one.
Just
Wait,
one?
Just one. From time to time, there will be changes to the policies that have already been
Okay.
adopted.
So we change this and we can add.
Okay. So, she's got the estimate from Lilac Press, which is, right here in Ossipee,
And
at the
it's for
Independent?
They're actually
They've
in
moved.
Rochester now.
Oh, they're in Rochester?
Yep.
They moved from Ossipee to Rochester. And that is for 100, what you say?
100 for
Correct.
$340. And Minuteman Press is $492, almost 500 for 100, per 100.
Who was the first bidder?
Lilac Press?
Lilac Press?
We have this, you have this in writing, right?
Yes, I
Somewhere?
do.
Are we comparing apples to apples? Is it possible to get a page from each one of them, not necessarily of our new policy book, but something they might have printed for somebody else, so we can see what we're getting?
I'm sure that we could probably get some kind of sample
Make
product. from
make
them.
sure we're getting good color, good paper, good whatever for the money we're paying.
It's almost $160 more.
Something's different.
The reference guide, is this online? Is this on the site or?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Okay.
So they have, so employee cannot read it from the site? You said they have no computer, so they cannot go to the library?
If they have the
somewhere else?
ability or the willingness to go online and do that, yes. I mean, if we have the ability to hand them an actual physical copy with a request for acknowledgement, we can ask them to sign that acknowledgement. I have no way of monitoring when somebody goes online. And additionally, we've received information that we have employees who are simply just not computer literate or computer comfortable and will not pursue that avenue.
So they cannot come in the office and read it, and you handed them one copy, and you have a copy there, and you read it?
Well, I think with regard to
Availability?
With regard to availability, one of the things that we need to consider is that legally we have to be able to provide our employees with a copy of this policy. We can't just throw it out there and say, you're expected to read it, and if you don't, you face the consequences. That's not a generally accepted way to process
Do they
employee
sign, do they
policy.
sign for
Yep.
it?
We can't tell them that our new policy book is on the web page. If you prefer to read it that way, we require a signed statement that you've read it, and that doesn't cover the law.
We can provide, I think what we're running into is we're running into a problem of logistics. We have some 300-odd employees.
Right.
What you're looking at now is trying to break down those 300-odd employees between who has the ability or the willingness to go online and who doesn't, and then pursuing different avenues with both of those sets of people. Then you're looking at different acknowledgement forms, and those differences are the one thing that we've been trying to avoid in putting together the reference guide to begin with. We need to provide a method of consistent outreach to our employees.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't make any sense to me. We could put a sentence on the bottom that says, I have read, or I have viewed on the internet, I have read and viewed on the internet, circle 1, and sign it. It's the same for both. All you're asking them to do is to say they've read it. We want to be assured that our employees have read this book. I mean, a simple sentence and what we don't want them to do is to say something happened, say, well, I didn't read it. Well, okay, here's the piece of paper that you signed that says you read it. And if we're not going to do it that way, why are we only buying 100 books when we have 300 employees? I would say that's the inconsistency, not whether they sign them.
Well, I think I've said repeatedly that the initial outlay, the initial quote was for a bulk of 100. But I think I have referenced a couple of times that we will need additional copies. And we did negotiate the money for that in our budget.
So this is only a starter price. I mean, we're looking at $1,100 and $1,500 actually. 3 times what we have here, if this is for 100 books and we got 300 employees.
I think an initial quote
Take
of
away the 2 or 3 like
100.
yourself that are married and you can share one book, that's a cost savings, but.
An initial quote of 100 copies is what we were looking for to get sufficient copies out to all of the individual departments.
Okay.
And also to cover trainings and orientations and to start training with our employees, because the ultimate goal was to adopt a training program that would get all of our existing employees in so that we could go over these policies with them individually.
Okay.
I don't know why it was so difficult. I believe that the sheriff was here, and he said he has done a CD, and they all come in there and read it from the CD, and they sign a paper.
What happens if we buy 300 of these and we have a training session and go over the booklets and have people sign a statement saying that they attended the training session and that they have read the book? And date it. Can we do that?
We could do that.
Then maybe that's what we ought to do. I mean, yeah, we can get away with 100 copies and have the supervisors each have a copy and the people that they supervise It's available to them to come and look and read, but maybe we ought to have one for everybody, and so then there's no question, anybody new coming in gets a handbook.
But,
This is our policy, this is what we follow, and sign for it.
I did print an initial 4 copies and bound it with the same binder that I had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
At the last Mountain View Community Orientation, they had 3 individuals in that orientation. I took a copy for each of them, along with an acknowledgement statement. I explained to each of the 3 ladies in that orientation, they had until the end of their orientation to read through those policies, return the booklet and the acknowledgement form signed, so that that could be put in their file.
Okay.
So, every time we need to order a few then, because if we have new employees coming in, we need to have those policies books then, if you're giving them out.
I don't think we need to provide our employees. I truly think that 100 copies will be sufficient initially. Eventually, due to wear and tear, we're going to have to replace them. Whether we replace them with another printing process or whether we replace them by printing them ourselves, as I did with the 3 that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, that's up to our discretion. That's up to the board's discretion. But the initial bulk printing.
Okay, let's go back. Commissioner Babson would like to see a copy from each one of them. Let's get that, and we'll take action on it next week and get through with this, and get 100 of them ordered.
Mr. Chairman, Debbie, I think I'm quoting you here, many employees have no access to computers at home or at work. I think a good place to start would be if you could have how we survey the employees and find out exactly how many we have. Frankly, I find that hard to believe in today's day and age.
They may have one, but they may not open it, like me.
Well, I mean, you have one, and you know, your
It's
wife could
available.
show you
It's
how
available.
to do it. Your 12-year-old grandson could show you how to do it, you know, but somebody could show you how to run it.
Okay.
Because I honestly believe the way to go is, as Commissioner Kenney said, is either a CD or on the website that says I've read it. I see no need to print $1,500 to start, and then with an ongoing cost as people leave.
And also with the wear and tear, you said we need to replace it, that's another cost.
Well, but I mean, that's the cost of doing business. I don't see this as an ongoing huge cost. And like I said, if I have two booklets that suffer wear and tear that need to be replaced, I can run those 2 copies off myself without a great deal of issue. But
Did you check on what a CD would cost?
I did ask, I haven't received any quotes on
All
that.
right, let's find out what a CD would cost, because a CD you can hand to them.
But I think the CDs, the county can
But
make
your
them
evil
sell
can
it.
do
You
it,
just
right?
have to put a CD in and,
County can do that.
Maybe.
yeah, and just burn it. You have it all right on the side. You don't need codes, you don't need to get it outside. It can be done here.
Okay. What else you got?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to go into non-public.
Who is coming into non-public?
Jason,
No. For what?
for personnel.
Personnel?
Let's go across the hall, David, and then,
Well, we're all done.
well, you've got to get out of here by 11. By the time he gets back up and out of here, it'll be 20 minutes off. so-
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have Jason.
Mr. Brown?
Has the new HR director looked over this?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Would it make sense to
Yes,
have
it would.
the new human resource before we send the new policy manuals out to print?
Yep.
Thank
Good
you.
point.
May have
Okay.
ideas or whatever.
Yep. So we've had public input. Let's go into non-public for personnel. I don't believe it'll take very long.
Okay.
Oh, that's true, it won't.
Are we coming back into public, is
We're
that?
coming, no, we'll
Oh,
be
so
all
we're
done
done?
for the day, once we go into non-public.
Okay, so this is our last item, is non-public? Okay, so,
The only thing we haven't done, we haven't approved the minutes, but nobody's had a chance to read them.
okay. Do you want to do it next time, the minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I just gave you the non-public minutes, so.
Yep.
And the public minutes, we table it for next
You can
week,
give
is
that
that
back
it?
to her. I don't keep any of that stuff.
Where are the public minutes?
You read this?
Yes,
You agree with it?
yes.
These are the public minutes, we're going to do it next week, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, just put that the minutes are tabled to next week, June 19th. Tabled next week. Just table.
Gail, on the bottom of those non-public meetings, there's supposed to be 3 lines with our names on them, so we
Yeah.
can sign.
So we can sign
Okay,
them.
but-
Oh,
yeah,
really?
well,
Okay.
yeah.
Why don't you sign yours?
But then we have
I must
another
have-
issue, you want to sign it, you said on the same page.
Yeah.
So then we
Yeah.
need to attach one if there's no room. So we probably need to.
No, we'll either sign it, we
we-
gotta sign it on the page that the minutes are on.
Yeah.
Not have a separate page, because that separate
Yeah.
page can be stapled.
So each
It's
page
pulled
is
off.
3 lines.
Yeah, I will show you one of the one that we released. I think we have to use
Just
a
lines or
sample.
with your names
Yeah.
underneath each line?
If you want, you can put the name, or you
So
can
you
just
know.
put commissioner.
Okay.
Okay?
So I see the commissioners already signed, so I make a motion to approve the non-public minutes of June 19, 2013.
Second it. All those in support of the motion? Any further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so voted. Okay, we'll look at
Yeah,
the,
we have another thing here. The minutes were not sealed.
yeah, they were.
No, they were not sealed. Check it out.
Well, the motion was made to seal them.
Motion was made and voted on to seal them.
No, there was only a motion made, and there was no sealing. I think you forgot to seal it because you walked away.
I'll make a motion that they be sealed.
I'll second it.
All in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and then so voted.
I don't think you can seal it anymore because.
I think we just did.
No, well,
I
if.
think we just did.
Yeah, no, but this was from last week and you didn't seal it. Legally, it become public in 72 hours, so you cannot go back and seal
You
it.
sure you want that to go public?
Listen, what do we need to do? Yeah, well, it shouldn't be public,
That's the rule.
but,
Yeah, I think it was,
You
it
was.
was
I
not.
think it was sealed
You made
last
the
week.
motion to seal them.
It was not sealed, it was forget
It's
it.
not there that they weren't sealed, but they were sealed.
They were not sealed. I don't
Okay.
have it here.
2-1 says they were.
They were not
Next
sealed.
subject. I make a motion, we go into non-public according to 91A, whatever that,
What, you take the notes.
Yeah.
It was sealed or not?
Well, you know, I could have forgotten.
Yeah, so it was not sealed. I
Could've
have
missed
it, I have it, it's not
Could
sealed.
you please speak up so we could hear the conversation, please?
okay.
I have it that it is not sealed, but it was not sealed. Let me see, okay, let's put here approved. Okay.
You got the
And
right
public
quotation for the
one,
91A, the right
The which one?
quotation down at the bottom for personnel.
I don't have it, I thought you had a flyer there. And, do you have the agenda? I think I wrote it down. They put in non, it was not on the agenda, but they put in non-public. Yeah, maybe this here.
What are you looking for, Dave?
I'm looking for the quote for the,
Which quote?
for it to go into,
Here it is.
you got it on the bottom of that?
No,
The
it's not
agenda.
here, no, shoot, the agenda.
She was looking for.
Okay. I just added. I
Mr.
just
Brown
put
has
it on
asked us to
because-
make sure we do that.
I'm lost. What are we doing?
Oh, yeah, if we're going on the, which RSA?
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
you
talking
had
about?
a
What are you
flyer
talking
there.
I'm talking about going into non-public, reason for going into
Yeah, on the RSA
non-public.
91A.
91,
I know it's 91A.
B, C, and D.
91A.
Order
Yes.
on last week's minutes?
We're not gonna discuss last week's minutes, unless you're talking about the minutes that we tabled to approve next week. Okay?
I'm talking about the non-public minutes.
That's the end of discussion.
No, yeah, well, the non-public minutes were not sealed,
Well,
so it becomes public.
you got the quote to go into non-public?
No, you have it.
No, I don't.
You have that flyer there. So you didn't bring it with you?
No.
Well, this then, if it's the same as last week, did you just say 91A? You said 1, 2, 3 the other day. Is that
Yeah.
the same one? So who made the motion to go into non-public?
I did.
Okay. So I second it.
Any further discussion? Roll call. 91A, 2, A, B, and C.
Right.
Okay. Roll call?
Yeah, Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenney? Yes, want to put a time?
How did you vote, Commissioner King?
I said yes. So all in favor?
And so voted.
I will
So we are
put
now in non-public.
10:36. Oh, yeah, you come.